Well, hello there. Heidi ho, neighbor. Really, that's how I start this out? Unbelievable. Such an idiot. Hello, everyone. This is the Hungry Bleek Podcast, and I am your host, Antonio Pomares. Yes, I put a little extra sazon on that because I like to. Today, this is one that has been, I feel like this is one that it's been a bit of an arduous journey also, schedules and such like that. I feel like this has been like 7 years in the making, much like CM Punk and his return to AEW. Well, wrestling, but him being in AEW. So I have two gentlemen here who are just incredible creatives, and I'm so excited to have them on. And we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna learn about some projects with them, and we're just gonna be, as one of my guests keeps saying, no worries, which is usually a line that I throw at everyone, and I dig that. So let's start off with this gentleman here. The founder of Subsume. You will notice he is in an actual throne, and he has a crown upon his head. And the shirt, you already know I want the shirt. The shirt he has on, you already know I want, because you know how I am about shirts. This, everyone, is Dedren Snead.
Oh, so good. So no worries. I'm gonna get my first one out of the way.
There you go.
Right. So no worries about that shirt. That shirt's, we're gonna make sure that's en route soon. So pleasure to be here with you.
Appreciate you, sir. Thank you so very much for being here. Let's bring in the next gentleman, shall we? This gentleman. If Benjamin Sisko had a consigliere on what to do while he was on DS9, this would be the cat. If Janeway needed someone to tell her what the thread count on her Starfleet uniform was, this would be the gentleman to tell her. This would be the gentleman who would go to the Bajoran dinner and just have everybody cracking up. This is the cat that Voyager was like, you know what, we got to get home because we got to see what this gentleman is doing. We got to see what he is talking about with that comic love. You know what? Maybe the Voyager should have took Route 3 in order to get home. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Robert Jeffrey. Sir. Sir.
Antonio.
I know I'm stupid. That's all right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, brother. We got this.
Much appreciated. Sisko's right-hand man saying, no, don't take that left. Make that right.
No, that's it.
Happy to be here, man.
Oh my God. Thank you so much both for being here, finding the time, and making it happen with me. I totally appreciate this. All right. Now, are y'all ready to have a little bit of fun and to talk about this amazing project that y'all got going on?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
So, this is that Subsume life with Dedren and Robert. Now, you both are incredible creatives. How did you get together? Like, how did you get together to form this huge tag team that will be going for the titles eventually at WrestleMania and All Out at some point?
Like going how far back as far as
well,
damn. All right, cool.
I'll say from the top. Like for me coming down to Atlanta from North Carolina, the very first place I went when I came was Challenges Games and Comics.
Oh,
so the very first thing when I landed in Atlanta, the first thing I did was not look for a hotel, not look for something to eat. I looked for where is a comic book shop. And then in that list, I saw that it was a Black-owned comic book shop, and I had never been to one. So I said, let me rent a car and drive to this Black comic book shop and just load up on things to do as I look to try to stop being homeless by the end of the day. And it just so happened that this gentleman was at a table, selling comic books. I remember seeing Marcus Hayes, and then this gentleman.
Oh, wow.
And I remember Route 3 and just looking at that and was just like, where's this from? Who are you? Like this, this was as good was better than what was in the story. I was like, this is this gentleman representing something that I wanted to be. At this point, I don't think I had written Sorghum and Spear. Definitely don't think I did the Kickstarter all the way. But at the same time, just became a fan very first and foremost. I mean, he was on the other side of the table. You know, he was this astute young brother that had work and had something to show for it. So being able to look at his work, it was just from a fan to a point of, how can I be like this guy? Like, he's writing all this fantastic science fiction just at a whim. And so I've always been envious of his talents. And then when I wanted to build something of myself, you know, he was like the first person I thought of. It was like, if I can somehow get this gentleman to work with me on some things, maybe I could be equally as cool in the science fiction and fantasy genres and build and tell stories like this man that I know, not just for myself as Subsume, is sought out, you know, not only just for us here at the independent circuit, but who I put up against anybody writing anything. So that's how I met this gentleman, and how it's been a pleasure to ride with him ever since, and to find a creative person that I can always look at and just know as an example of everything that I would like to be, and I'd like my work to represent.
Oof.
I probably should have gone first because I got to
I'm saying, how do you, I'm sitting here like, damn, maybe I should let him just host. Jesus, wow.
Yeah, no. I always tell Dedren he's a talented writer, talented creator, but between the two of us, he's a better speaker. Like, I can't. I'd be like, I would talk us out of so many deals. They'd be like, get this idiot out of here. No, I mean, Dedren, yeah, and that was at the Atlanta Science Fiction and Fantasy Expo, right? Mm-hmm. Shout out to Tony Cade,
yes,
Tanya Woods, Pete Mitchell, everybody, and Renee Cooper, everybody behind the scenes who puts together that con. But yeah, we met, I think, definitely at the table, but then, we linked up. You came to a panel that I did, and we just we've been hanging since then. Like, we've been friends since then. It's been a few years now. And then when you pitched the concept or presented Sorghum the Spear to myself, I was just like, this is awesome. Like I said, talented creator. So Dedren he's a hustler in the best way possible. Just like if we're given, he's a hustler who presents results, produces results, not presents. I'm a good writer, who produces results, and is one of and I'm glad he's running Subsume. It's I think it's something that it's a publishing company that's needed, and I think we have a bunch of really good stuff coming down the pipeline. But the big thing with Subsume that I love is that it's focused on transmedia. It's not just like comics. It's trying to apply these different properties to different avenues, so we can make some money, but also in addition to that, get these stories out to as many different folks as possible through as many different means as possible, because everybody doesn't just read comics. So that's one reason why I was hyped to be brought on board with Subsume when he pitched it. But that's but yeah, Dedren and I go. It's been, like I said, it's been a few years now. So,
well, that's excuse me, that's incredibly awesome, and I love the fact that that's one of the things that, because I've been watching, because I always like being more in the shadows than being in the spotlight, ironically enough, as I sit in front of a light. And I've seen both of you grow and prosper and just expand and evolve and just becoming these names that when you hear them, you go, oh yeah, that's like when someone hears your name, they go, oh yeah, that they know already something about you. Or they like, oh yeah, I've seen that name, that's this person. And I absolutely love it. Now, the project that you have coming out, excuse me, can you tell us about this project? Because I am excited. Anything that has Robert's name on it, I'm excited about, because I trust Robert with quality. I trust him with quality, with a dope story, with world building, with some sense of humor in there. depth of characters. I trust him with that. And then I trust Subsume because I see you branching out. You're not just staying in that one area. You're branching out into other areas. And I love it. I love when I see someone diversifying themselves and becoming more. But what is this new project that you have coming out, Dedren?
So this new project that that we're working on is a science fiction space opera called Soul Nebula.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is one of a series of programs that we've been working on with Subsume, but I feel like this is our big sandbox, right? This is our Star Wars, our Star Trek, a way that we get to find not just inclusion, but find ourselves into the stars. And so taking something like such as Afrofuturism or speculative fiction, and taking these components and just being able to be imaginative, in each of our little quadrants or sectors of the galaxy, come together for big arcs and storylines, or be as intimate and as small as this one person on this one singular, and their own singular thoughts. And so being able to have someone build a flagship platform like this, the person I had to think of and am blessed to have would be Robert. And so not only just for his own expertise into this, but looking at this as a legacy project, something that for us to Subsume not only would encompass all of the talent that we're fortunate to have on our roster, but it would be an open invitation for people to find themselves, be in a space and in a genre that, historically has not been as inclusive or as open as we'd like to have. And to definitely confront this misnomer that Black people don't do sci-fi, right? That we don't, that melanin doesn't go past the moon, right? Like we can't do this. And so that's what we got to be part of it. And so, and from a technology standpoint, from again the idea of transmedia, where Soul Nebula gets a chance to definitely live in this graphic novel space, live in print, live in media, but also trying to be part of the conversations of the workforce of tomorrow, to build projects and talk to smart people, smart Black people, smart brown people, smart people from all walks and sectors of life, of looking at a slice of this reality that hopefully in some way we get a chance to shape as a future.
I absolutely, wow. That was really, I love the fact that you said flagship. That is hugely important. I was having to talk about flagship earlier. I love the fact that you said flagship and you said a legacy, something that will be here for a while and that you can have. And I absolutely love the words that you use. That's outstanding. Robert, as honestly, when I think of you, Robert, I do think of space opera because you use the word space opera often. And I know that you're not using it just as a word. You're using it as a true description of what you want to create.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about having the sandbox, as Dedren said, and space opera, and being like a kid in a candy store?
I was like, let's go. It's just like, I mean, it's like, it's as simple as that. I mean, look at I always say, look behind me, this way. If I'm looking at Star Trek,
yes,
that's my baby. I mean, that's, for me, I know a lot of people consider, and I enjoy Star Wars, but Star Trek was always something that appealed to me just a little bit, kind of strongly or whatever. And I think it was always this idea of, after all of the BS that we as humans have gone through or have met on ourselves or, brought on ourselves or have had thrown at us, that we could shoot for something better. Now, I know people definitely kind of argues there might be parts of, that future which are maybe a little problematic or a little bit too rosy, but you always got the sense that at least on Earth, we were good. It's just like the further out, the further out that we went, things got more complicated. And there was just something about that appealed to me, in addition to, watching a space adventure unfold every week, because I grew up on The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, when it was syndicated. Kids, go back and learn about syndicated television, because if you miss it that week, you were SOL. Ooh. So, and there was just something about that, and then the space opera genre, or that aspect of sci-fi, that just kind of appealed to me. Just the idea of traveling, to the stars, finding these, planets that, people had never heard of, and meeting other, alien life, just all this stuff. It was just really cool in my nerdy mind. So when Dedren approaches me with, pretty much it's like Thanksgiving. There's the turkey, there's the collard greens with the turkey neck in it.
Yes.
There's macaroni and cheese baked with some creamy, whatever, and then you have the cranberry sauce or whatever. It was, for me, I was ready. I was ready to go, and he pitched the concept to me. And what was really cool was that it felt familiar, but not overly so. And, there's this aspect of the story that we're bringing into play that hasn't been, as far as I'm concerned, hasn't been done, especially with mashing it with this story about melanin in space, melanin past the moon.
Yes, which is a great line.
Which is a great line. Like I said, that's Dedren. So all of this, thrown onto the plate for me, the love of space opera, the concept that he came with, and just, just all of it spoke to me as a writer and as a creator. And I wanted to help develop this world as much as possible. I'm one of many architects when it comes to Nebula, and I'm glad that we actually have the talent on board that we do. But to have a chance to tell the core story, I couldn't pass that up. I mean, I'm just being real. That to me feels just as important as getting, like, what do you say, like a 10-issue series from the big two or whatever. I mean that because that's why I love this genre so dang on much. And I was happy that Subsume stepped up with the opportunity that they did. So I don't know. It's a smorgasbord of loves and interests, and I think we've kind of created something special. So.
Well, I love it. I love the story of it. I love the story of the creation, like you two getting together, but also the passion that I'm hearing from both of you. That's a huge thing in a book. If you can just write a book, or honestly, and any project, whether it's acting, what have you, singing, what have you, when you hear the passion in the person's voice as they're talking about it, as if it's their heart is actually speaking to you, which it is, like their heart, their soul is speaking to you, then that makes me sit there and go, okay, let me even listen even more, because I really want to know about this. So in saying that, can you give us like just I'm not going to ask for everything, but can you give us a taste of what this story is about? What's the concept? If you want to go ahead first, Dedren.
Of course. So I think the way that I pitched this was the American Reconstruction in space, right? The idea of basically history repeating itself, where a certain sect of humanity saw an opportunity and wanted to colonize space and go beyond the stars and take their value system and their economic system and what they felt as a manifest destiny beyond the stars. But then the stars fought back and ran them away. And the only place that they could come back to was the place that they felt was less than, but it eventually was the home that they wanted to return to, and found that home didn't want them back either. And so now what do you do? And so the New Pilgrims, as the first voyagers are known as, are pretty much considered a scourge of the universe. And they have a particular lack of melanin, a particular lack of a lot of values that may have made humanity now the thing that most of the known universe despises. And so now we've got the people of Earth who have their own issues and concerns, but for the most part appears to be more of a hopeful space and place. Now have to go back into this same void, the same part of the universe, and try to bring them together. And so as the people with melanin may have known this tune. We got to go and clean up after white people. we have to figure out how to bring things together when we ourselves have been subjugated or subjected to the things that let others get ahead. And a lot of times, where our stories and legacies are built on or built over at our expense, a lot of times it's a point of survival, not only just survival, but of thriving. And so we meet this earth where it is thriving, right? A lot on the cusp, on the front end, Earth has solved a lot of its problems when a particular element was no longer available or no longer being oppressive. And so they want to give this up to try to save this this section of humanity that now is trying to come back home. So there's a lot of stakes, not only just for what's on the Earth, but on a larger thing that's going on with the universe that somehow Earth's the center point of. And so the thing with this is, what's humanity's key to the soul of the universe? And so it's a lot of reckoning, a lot of notes that we see historically as we looked at, the Black and the diaspora experience of the African and African American experience. We get a chance to look at that hundreds of years in the future. Likewise, we get to have some fantastic new and unique stories, not only from our flagship series that we have here with Robert, but some amazing spaces and places that we'll get a chance to take these readers for years to come.
I can, just listening to that, I can hear how that's going to be the center, because you're already, just that concept alone is world building, because you can go so many different directions with so many groups that have been marginalized and that have been subject to diabolical treatment. So that right there, and having it, and as you said, history repeating itself, having to do it all over again in space where no one can hear you scream, apparently, is what I've heard. So to do even that, yeah, I'm already excited to read this. I'm looking at my phone. I want it on my phone already. I'm going to be honest with you. I need a bedtime story, and this is it. And I want that right now. Obviously, I know I'm not going to get it right now. I'm a patient man, which is cool. Will this be just as far as like the reading form? Will it be just in a, say, like a graphic novel form, or will you have it in single issues? What will be the formats that you might be looking to deliver this in as far as reading material?
That's a good question, and I'll definitely, Robert's going to have some input to that as our writer.
Yes.
Right now, I'm happy to say, we can go ahead and share it here. We already have the first book done, right? So the first books, when we say first book, we mean a single issue.
Right.
So we've been working on this since we announced Subsume. But we had so many collaborators and so many people on it. We've been working on this, since last year. So in a good way, the pandemic kind of made us shift that delivery schedule a bit, but it also gave us the flexibility to really go deep into where the story is and where all of us can go forward. So now we do have the opportunity, when we're kind of in those talks of taking this to a graphic novel straight up, because we have so many, I think there's so many great intersects. And again, I'm in love with the world as Robert's bringing it to reality and to our readers, that, I think it'd almost be a disservice to just kind of put out a single issue at this point. When we get them, we'll really get them. So, it's open right now. But again, I'll let Robert continue on, his thoughts on that.
Yep.
I would love to just put this out as a graphic novel. So, because right now we have the first issue, and we even have I would just call it a prequel. We have is it like a 10 to 12 page prequel?
That's right.
Yeah, it's like 10 to 12 pages. So all said and done, we got like 42 pages of book finished, like drawn, lettered. I mean, just everything. So the great thing though that we're noticing is that putting on a couple of fronts, it's less stressful to do multiple Kickstarters. I mean, that's just like it's a personal thing on my end.
Yeah.
But then, well, this is something I know we'll get into next. Is the Sorghum and Spear graphic novel has shown Subsume that having all of that collected work in just one nicely put together volume, it works. It just works. So to have, so if we need to add more issues or pages, to this, I think that's what we want to do, even though we have a first issue that we could just drop when it's ready to go. So personal preference wise, and Dedren will tell you, I've been drag kicking and screaming, for this because I'm like, I just want to get it out, just all of that. But I'm leaning more towards the graphic novel, side of things, and I think ultimately that might be the best route to go. But and it's funny because with the Route 3, with the Route 3 trade, it seems like people always get more hyped about that than just having the single issues, which is kind of strange. But I do think that it's an option. I think it's an option that's at number one right now. But who's to say like tomorrow we're gonna be like, yo, first issue, you prequel first issue, you get 42 pages, that, just roll with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning right now, just kind of a one and done. So
Okay, great. I mean, like I said, either way, but I think, but yeah, people do seem to be leaning more towards trades, graphic novels.
yeah,
So now I think because it's a whole collection, you're able to read it all in a shot or whatever your time frame is. Where sometimes with single issues, I mean, with say series that are out now that month to month, sometimes you have to go back and reread the last issue or the last two issues even to remember what happened. So then you can go into this new issue. I know that happens to me sometimes, but I'm reading so many damn things. It's hard to keep track. Truth is, it's hard to keep track. So I do understand that fact, but there is something about having a graphic novel in my bag when I'm on the train or what have you, and I could just pop it open, just start reading it. There is something a little more meat to it, I guess will be the way to say it. But a lot of food references in there. It's really weird that I would bring up food. It's almost like you think the show is called The Hungry Bleek or something like that. It's crazy. I'm saying it's weird. Now Robert actually did make me want some macaroni and cheese and greens. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You shouldn't even said that. You shouldn't have said that, Robert. Shouldn't have said that.
Thanks, Kevin.
Should not.
Can I jump on your last comment, just piggyback on that a little bit? So the other part of that is when we have a collected volume, it helps us to expand our reach for where we want to get the book into, what stores, what marketplaces, that's also a huge thing. I remember, this is going back to Baron Robert Bell with Radio Free America. Yeah. Yes. His goal was to get those trades into libraries. And that was a huge thing. So I think Sorghum and Spear could, be on a library shelf. I feel that Blanco could be on a library shelf. I feel that so Nebula, but most of those places like Barnes and Noble, various libraries, and even Target, right, Dedren? They want those collected books rather than the floppy issues. And sometimes comic book stores might not take us. I don't know. We're like with being indie publishers, there's always that kind of gray area with stores where they sometimes want a one and done, versus a floppy, because sometimes we don't know when the next issue is going to come, when it's going to drop, or you do have. But there also are a host of other comic book stores out there that will take that chance on you. I know that I got more doors open when I presented a completed work with Route 3, at least completed with the first 3 issues with the story arc, versus just a floppy. But it's just one of the things that we're looking at because we want to expand our reach to as many retailers as possible, and it's just, if we can make it look pretty, all that good stuff, then that's something that we're thinking about, with trying to get the product out there. So.
No, that's a smart way to think about it, because if you look at it like that with a trade, it shows more consistency. It shows more that you have something there. Like, it wasn't just one. Because I remember a few years ago, I bought an issue of a comic, and I was like, "Oh, this is really interesting." And that was like a few years ago. Have not seen anything else from that cat since. And I was like, "Damn, I liked it. He got me hyped for more." And there was nothing else. So yeah, the trade is actually a very good idea, and to put it in libraries is a beautiful thing. I absolutely love that idea, that thought process of we're not just thinking about stores, we're not just thinking about comic shops and Target. Libraries is a great place where you're getting a lot of young readers who are starting. That's where they're at, and they're going to want more of it, and they can also inspire and spark that next generation, which I love. Again, that's legacy. That's that. Yes, I see what y'all are doing, storytelling during the damn podcast. I'm hip to you. I see what you're doing. I'm not mad at you at all. I'm not mad at y'all. So, do you have an ETA by chance for Soul Nebula? Any type of time frame at all?
It's a great question. I think right off, I'd like to say Q1 2022, because what we're honestly trying to do is do as much of this as we can, particularly if we're going to graphic novel.
Right.
I know we've got some fantastic work that we know fans are working on from present company with Mind to Avenge, as we're continue that endeavor. Again, we've got finished works there. As we were saying, the pandemic has shifted some of our scheduling, but at the same time, we've been able to look at what we want to build is that constant and consistent library when we do start. And so I think right now Q1 of next year feels about right. So kind of us to get through the holiday and get some more of these pages up and together, and then just the right way be able to introduce Soul Nebula, to our fans and to our into the audiences that we know will absolutely enjoy this, and just the team that we have at Subsume. And so
that's beautiful. I will say this really quick before I get to the next part. Reading, Robert already knows this, so I've already gushed over him. He already knows what's up. Mind to Avenge is one of my favorite comics, and I was there from the beginning. We're not going to throw shade. It's the past is what the past is.
Yeah.
We're looking towards the future. Let me tell you something. How much I enjoyed getting that issue of number 3, seeing a different publisher, and it just automatically had a feel to it that was so different that it felt like it amped up. And I was so proud, so happy, so elated by the whole thing. I appreciate both of you for whatever, again, not asking any questions. That's not what this is about, but I just appreciate it, and to getting that in front of me so I can read the continuation of that story. I loved it, and I loved seeing Subsume on the front. I loved how the cover even felt different than the previous 2 issues, which let me know even more that this was something different that I was reading. Same quality, same, everything, obviously the creative team, but it made me feel like this is a new direction and a positive, a positive, long-lasting direction. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. Just want to throw that out there real quick to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, man.
Now, the comic book industry, geek community, actually, the geek nerd community in general, has a lot of ills, unfortunately. And you both being fans and also being creatives, being on both sides of the table, let's say, what do you feel is one of the biggest problems in the geek culture, and what are you doing to change that? I'm going to start with Robert.
So I got 2.
Okay.
So
Run it. Okay.
I got 2. Gatekeeping and negativity. Those are 2 that jump out at me. Underneath the Subsume umbrella, as far as like how to combat, the gatekeeping is you got the skills, then just bring it. Like we try to give everyone a shot where it's not these doors closed of how to, of creating these works that we're doing. On the geek side of things, if you want to like something, I'm trying to, this is where I'm going to go into the not, so I'm not going to curse. As a person who is like I love Star Trek, so if somebody comes to me and is just like, hey, I want to enjoy Star Trek just as much as you do, or I don't think they would say that. That'd be a weird ass conversation. Sorry, they would say, I'm just like the PSA conversation.
Right.
I don't, you try to make that as open and as free for somebody to, to enjoy or just kind of join in on, because it just broadens the scope of your fandom. And I remember when we had the big push, when Paramount, released Star Trek Discovery, there was this big push with representing a segment of the world which often didn't find themselves represented, members of the LGBTQ plus, community. And Next Generation had its, you had examples of that happening. Deep Space Nine. I don't know about Voyager so much. I don't even know about Enterprise, but there was this like this vitriol of from these fans, these quote unquote Trek fans who were just like, no, why are you trying to do this? Why are you trying to SJW my Star Trek up? And I was just like, this is my response. Do you even Star Trek? Because it's like the ideals that that franchise was built on was inclusivity. And albeit they've had some missteps, Next Generation episode about the Africa planet. So go back and watch it. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
it's a rough one to watch.
Yeah, man.
But when Discovery they were like, you know what, we're gonna do this. There was so much. I saw that as gatekeeping, as saying like, don't involve these new members from this community into our Trek. And I was just like, this ain't church-ish. Paramount actually owns this, if you want to be real about it, like as far as the rights. But you can't. That happens a lot throughout fandom and through the geek spheres, and it's funny because like we were often excluded, from various things. So for people to turn around and do that and claim something as their own to the point where they're just like, I don't want anybody else from a particular group to have anything to do with it. That's a problem to me. So that's the gatekeeping aspect, and hand in hand with that is the negativity. When it comes to fandom and when it comes to the geekdom, and so much sometimes to the point where I already told you I just got off of off of Twitter. It's a lot of noise to me. I think that when you use it positively, social media could be a beautiful thing because you're connecting with the world through a device or through a means that our parents didn't have. They just didn't. So I think when it's abused, when you go online and say, hey, this is, I like this movie. And then the first comment is just like, how the F can you like this movie? Your soul is black. And I'm just like, whoa, did you, it's God, and that's how, and that's how deep it gets. It's just like, just disagree and keep it moving. Like, I don't, that's the thing that turns me off to the point where, Dedren, you and I, Antonio, we got chats. we got our individual chats where we talk about this stuff, and I don't go any much further outside of that, unless it's like, because it's not so much that I don't want to hear somebody's dissenting opinion. I mean, that'd be stupid as heck to be like, everybody has to agree with me. If you think that, then you're dumb. Everybody's not going to agree with you. We're all different people, but it's one of those things where you come at a person with a lot of like negativity, vitriol, and just kind of hate. I mean, like, we fucking talking about the Smurfs. It's just like, is it that serious? So, so that's, and and it's gotten to a point also professionally where I try to use social media for more of the professional stuff, you know, and you know, it works out. But those are two things as far as geekdom and fandom that I try to stay away from, but also change with. Uh, I don't know, being more positive, being more open to listening, and just saying, hey, if you love this fandom, then you know, have at it. You know, each his or her or their own.
Mhm.
But those are two things that stood out to me. You know, as far as with that stand out to me with that question.
And you're completely right on that stuff. And yeah, people do have a habit of coming up, unfortunately, because they're behind the screen, so they feel there's no real world repercussions for what they're saying, and to come out with that hate. And the minute, if it's anything that isn't, let's be real, if it's anything that isn't a hetero white
Male,
male
yeah,
or a big breasted woman who has no storyline, they don't care, and they want to hate on. Oh my, what you're giving these people actual stories and backgrounds and making them relatable to everyone? No, this is supposed to be mine. It's not yours. It was never yours, Robert. You are totally correct. Stop it.
yeah,
Dedren, what about you?
Yeah, you know, I think part of it is absolutely to echo what you gentlemen have said, is that the spaces that, you know, we all champion and love, it's just been just a change of that space, right? The idea of comic
Mhm.
books and video games and cosplay, like these are the original safe spaces for us as nerds and geeks. When we didn't find those spaces of acceptability and inclusion and the things that we like, right? These are the things that we were able to turn to as youth or the young at heart, and be able to find, you know, that part of ourselves that we may not have had socially or personally or even professionally, you know, that that let us be ourselves. Now to find those same spaces and places, you know, to be have such levels of gatekeeping or being divisive by design or just the fact of, again, because we live in a digital and social space where so many things get commented and commented upon, um, that now those same things like Dungeons and Dragons, right? That used to be the super
Mhm.
nerd thing.
Yeah.
Now that's, you know, high society, right? You know, shows and fortunes are made, and now that's, you can go buy that in Target. It's at your local school, your library plays
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons now. Now we get to tell people who can't play, right? Now we get to tell people who shouldn't be on the cover, or this is not for you, right? It's the
Hmm.
idea that using our fandoms, you know, the idea that we could possibly to kind of look at our brethren and be like, you know, because you disagree with me, you're wrong, right? The whole idea of, you know, that used to be the stuff we used to do for fun, right? Argue who was stronger, right? You know, the
Yeah.
whole sort of thing. And it's just the idea of that was fun banter. That shouldn't have me, you know, calling you out of your name online, or just, you know, it shouldn't get to this point. This is the fun stuff, right? You know, life's already hard enough, particularly as a
yeah.
creator. We don't need to add to that. So I feel like that's a big major part. But the other part to that I wanted to share specifically was for our community, somehow the I think the ability to fail, particularly for creators of color, we have to find a way to be better about this some way somehow. And I say that and say that it's already hard enough to be a creative, you know, particularly if you're, you know, an artist or making comic books or a writer or what have you. You know, rejection is just part of the game to start off with. Being able to expose and give the most intimate and open parts of yourself as a creative, you know, putting that on a piece of paper, or, you know, making a digital image and sharing that with the world and saying, hey, I did this and this is what I think. You know, that's a level of bravery that even, you know, even in the back in the day when it's just pen to paper, you know, it's always something to be
Hmm.
appreciated. But now I feel like it's a thing where in our space still, that for black creators, if something doesn't work, then it's still a large swath or a large brushstroke of this isn't good. This isn't good enough. or this doesn't make it. When we think of stories or creators or platforms that may be built towards basically built towards servicing where we haven't had this before. I think the example is, if a movie with a black female protagonist doesn't do well, oh well, that those type of movies don't work anymore. So we don't want to see this. We don't want to hear about it. If you try to ask us for some money for this, no, thank you, because we can look at this one singular example and now make the correlation that people don't like this. And then I think a lot of times of us as creators, naturally, we go to those spaces where we think that, we can survive and eat, and that our stories will get in front of the audiences that we hope to engage. And so I say that to say that I'd rather people make art for the fact and the sake of making art than to make something for a check. Right. And so that's what I'm getting to, that we as Black creatives, we have a responsibility to have our language and our culture and the things that we see as our authentic selves be put to paper and be put to print and be supported by our community. So I'd rather have, a lot of us making this and being able to be in our own space and have our own agency and do like we've done from Greenwood to Harlem Renaissance to all these other spaces, right? We've got a legacy of doing this, but I think creatively we're at a crossroads where we can make things for ourselves and of ourselves and own of ourselves, or we can make things that just go into the mainstream. And that doesn't issue people who work and develop in that space. But I think we as creators, particularly as creators of color, have to build a level of sustainability for our own selves and our own stories. Because if we don't value them, then it's hard to present it as a space of value or a thing of value to others.
That is incredible. Yes, that's incredibly well said. That is, yeah, we are not a monolith. That one project not working out. Okay, cool. Well, I have this. No, we're not doing. No, and it happens, unfortunately, continuously. It's starting to get better because of so many creatives of color that are coming out and having these stories and having a variety of characters and plots and stories and backgrounds, such like that their project didn't work out. Okay, cool. Their project might be like slightly similar, what have you, and it does work out. It's apples and oranges. You don't know what's going to work until it's out there or such like that. So that is incredibly correct. We're not a monolith. One project failing does not mean that another one will not incredibly soar and possibly make that project that failed become a cult classic, and then become because that's happened with a lot of movies that have had white protagonists and all white cast that were bombed at whatever, but became cult classics either from streaming or from a resurgence of an actor or what have you. And they're like, oh, this movie, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. We didn't know. 20 years later, now you want to say it was a fantastic, classical piece, but at the time you were ready to burn the theater down and you didn't know how to act about yourselves. Okay, cool, fine, whatever. But yes, those are incredibly right. And what you're doing with your spaces of being the creators and putting your works out there is changing the tide. And that's incredible. And it's very much appreciated from all of us. Oh, this one, real quick, what do you want people to get from your works? Like, what do you want your legacy to be? Since that is kind of like a keyword for this particular session, legacy. I'm gonna start with Robert. What do you want people to take from your work, and what do you want your legacy to be?
Like Roman Reigns, acknowledge me. No,
yes,
no, no, he's killing it. It's to escape. I want people to sit down with whatever I've written and just chill, because there's so much that and especially now that we're collectively dealing with, and to have a moment to just kind of chill, if they open up something that I've written and just can kind of take a moment to just get some leeway from all of that. is something that I want people I want people to kind of experience or enjoy. Um, the other part of that is, I mean, I guess to answer the other part of that question, I want people, at least if they think about me and my work, after the fact, knock on wood, no time soon. I just want folks to say, like, this was a guy who enjoyed doing what he was, doing what he was doing. He just enjoyed his career, and and he found success doing what he loved, and it only drove him mildly crazy. So he's doing all right. He didn't go off the deep end. He natural causes was the end of his life. He didn't like pop a backflip, do a pop lock off of the Brooklyn Bridge, and just say bye Route 3 as he jumped into the river. Actually, that's a way to go, right? Anyways, that's not happening. That's not about to happen. But yeah, that's and then maybe take something of worth from, because some of the stuff that I write is kind of serious in tone, serious with the themes or the topics that are being discussed. Mm-hmm. But I like finding that balance between like the edutainment of it all. Yes. But sometimes you just want to have a good time. Like I read 7 Secrets. There was so much heart in that story, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of action. And I was just like, I was like, thank you, Tom Taylor, for helping me to take a break and just watch somebody's head get cut off in an awesome way. But that's it's kind of it's a hodgepodge of a bunch of different things as far as what I want people to take from my work. So
that's beautiful for them to escape, but to also say he did this and he enjoyed doing it, and that's important.
Like, you don't want to read a comic and be like, damn, this guy hated this. You could feel the hate.
Because we've had too many of those, unfortunately. So, what have you? Dedren, how about you?
I like to think for the work that we were talking about here with Subsume today and Subsume tomorrow is kind of our work of being included. I think I want people that look at our work to see some part of themselves, whether that's culturally, creatively, or in a fantastic space of imagination, that they can see themselves being a part of, being invited to our world, or being invited to the, invited along the journey. That we were very intentional and really doing the work. Right, that we're not taking shortcuts. We're doing the things that we love, and in that agency comes authenticity. That we're not chasing trends. We're chasing dreams. Right. This is the stuff we want to make, and we're making it. By hook or by crook, that our stuff comes out, and we give all that we can to our readers and really to our community. So I think that's the other part of when we say, this word I keep wanting to use of legacy, that it's not for us, it's for all of us. Whether we're looking at ourselves culturally or just as a family, as a creative family, or as just humanity, right? We don't want to tell. We want to tell great Black stories. We want to tell great inclusive stories. We want to tell great stories, right? That everybody can enjoy. And I think in that part that we're showing a way that it can be done, and done the right way, and done with a level of talent that we never have to apologize for what you're seeing on the page or seeing on the screen or being a part of. And that folks can see a way that they themselves can do the same.
I absolutely love it. I've had this thought the other day when I think it was at work. I don't remember what the hell I was doing, to be honest with you. I can't remember what happened like 15 hours ago. I had this thought where I was sitting there and I was like, I'm not trying to be a trend. I'm trying to be a standard.
Right.
I want, if someone sees my name, they go, oh, Antonio, like, this is what he did, this way he enjoyed it. But he had this level where you knew I'm not perfect by any means, shape, or form. but every day I try to be better than I was the day before. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I fail, but the next day is another chance for me to do it right. So that's why I said I don't want to be a trend. I want to be a standard. I want people to say, when they look at me, they go, you know what? He did what he could. This was the best that he could do. Again, sometimes I fail. Sometimes I succeed. Sometimes I break even, what have you. So as being creators, I love to know what creators are taking in, what they're reading, what they're watching. This could be music, comics, movies, what have you. Straight out the box, what are 3 properties that are your favorites? I'm going to start with Dedren.
Well, let's see. 3 things that are my favorite right now. I was kind of across genres. Kind of series-wise, I'm just very much in love with The Expanse. Right? It just really just took me by surprise. Just a lot of turns of the space opera genre,
Yes.
and I think it's just a great success story. Something that failed in one place and was given a chance and thrived forward. Right? This show was canceled. They were begging for it to, it was out for a while, and again, just given the right opportunity and right level of support to tell the story they wanted, that they were able to go where they wanted to. Another series is Kim's Convenience on Netflix. It's just a story about a Korean family that owns a convenience store. But it is just so well written in the very small moments of humanity, even with language barrier and things like that. It just ended up being a great series that surprised me. And comic book wise, just trying to think of something in that space. My mind's on a blank on that. Other thing that's got my attention is, let's just say, World War Z. It's coming out.
Oh yes,
World War Z Aftermath is coming out, and just nerd out on something that's not very high end. And I want to talk about Legos. Let's talk about something. I just want to push some buttons and shoot zombies. I love those type of games. That's like one of my favorite games, and it's got a well overdue update coming out. So that has all of my time and attention of anything else media wise for a minute.
Robert is the reason why I actually bought World War Z. I kept hearing about it, like him talking about it, and I was like, okay. Then I went and I bought it, and I was like, okay. And I was like, because I love shooting zombies. You can never feel guilty about shooting zombies. The only game that I loved even more, like regular zombies, was when it was, I forgot what game was, where you were shooting Nazi zombies. You can't go wrong. There's no way that you can't go, I think I've killed enough. No, haven't. You guys go ahead and do whatever the missions are possible. Just leave all the kills to me. That's my job. You do the mission stuff. I will kill as many. If I'm not above at least 800, I'm not happy. You do what you got to do. You put all the stuff up. I'm running and gunning. Whatever I can do. I love it. So yeah. So when he was talking about World War Z, I said, you know what, Bet, let me check this out. I'll check it out now. I was like, this was fun. This is great. I rarely get the character that I want, so I just go, I don't care. Whatever character you want to give me is cool, because they're all going to be running and gunning the same. You do whatever you got to do. I'm just shooting. Perfect. I might have to re-download that because I took a break from it. I might have to re-download that so I can go back in and start upgrading my guns again. Because the both of you were a part of a Twitch stream where you would do that and also talk about Geek, which I love the idea of that. I think it's one of the most cool things possible. So, Robert, that was me hitting my knuckle. Ouch, hot damn. Right. Yeah, okay. It's going to hurt more later, I'm sure. Life happens. Robert, what about you? 3 properties that you're a fan of?
Well, I mean, you already know I can't do a show without mentioning Sliders, right?
Right.
As far as like the 3 franchises that are, I guess, properties close to my heart, Sliders, Star Trek, and Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. Like I sat in, like I've been kind of immersing myself more into that world. I did another rewatch of The Legend of Korra, and I had a chance to sit in on a workshop where Mike and I'm having one of the co-creators that I can never pronounce his last name, but he was basically, it was a workshop about how to pitch a TV series, an animated series, and hearing kind of his personal kind of account of how he and Brian it was Brian. That was Brian Conzito or whatever. But it's Brian and Mike. Basically, how they created that world and their reasonings and just all of that. It made me fall more in love with that universe, and it has me very hyped to see what they're going to do with Avatar Studios. With all of the other collected adaptations that are going to be coming out of that, in addition to the Netflix TV series, which they walked away from. So, but as far as like current, fandoms or properties that I'm kind of digging into, Stargate Atlantis. I'm actually enjoying that a bit more than the core Stargate series.
Yeah.
We already mentioned Legend of Korra. The Expanse is also next to Discovery. It's my favorite space opera that's on right now, and it's actually just a really good TV. It's a television drama. If you love Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, I think this is one that you should check out. What If has been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Outriders. I know Tony Cade would get on my case if I didn't mention that video game, because he has become low-key obsessed with it. He's like throwing up. He's like, "This is my map," and I'm just like, "My skill tree." And I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but it's awesome, right? Outriders and World War Z, like World War Z and Streets of Rage 4. Those are the two games during COVID, which strangely enough brought us all together. Like as far as like, our game running crew. And so with World War Z, with that Aftermath update that's about to pop up, I'm very hyped about that because it seems like they listened to us finally and gave us some new content because we were running horde mode like crazy. I think we got up to like 25, 26, and it was just endless. Oh yeah, you need to run horde with us, Antonio. Like you need to run horde with us. Like it's just nothing but shooting zombies all night long. But and those are and as far as on the comic book front, the three that have been jumping out at me are Radiant Black, which if you're in your mid to late 30s, the first 3 pages of that will hit you harder than anything. Like if you are a creative, in addition to being in your like late 30s, harder than anything I've read within the past few years. And this is a story about. It's like, I don't know what's that genre of Japanese superheroes that the Power Rangers are based on? Is it Sentai?
I want to say, yeah. I
should know that, but yes.
I don't want to say the one that begins with an H.
That's what I thought you were going, because I was like,
no.
Okay.
This is what I'm promoting. No, think of it.
I'll run with that. That's fine.
It's that genre. It's that type of story, but it's very personal. And as a writer in my late 30s, like reading this thing, I was like, God damn. So first few pages of that, but it's a really good book written by Kyle Higgins. I already mentioned this before. 7 Secrets. I think Antonio, you turned me on to that.
Yeah.
I picked up the trade and it just hit. It was just really. It reminded me of. You remember Prodigal Son of the Prodigal Egg of the First Light?
Thank you.
Right, Jeffrey. Yeah,
yes.
Jeff Thorne, and I think it's Todd Harris. Like if you, that's a deep cut. But Prodigal Egg of the First Light. Pick that up if you like 7 Secrets. And I'm always going to give a shout out to Tony Patrick. I think one of the best guys writing at DC Comics right now. He did a recent. I think it was like a one-shot for The Signal.
Yeah, Batman Secret Files.
Yeah, Batman Secret Files, The Signal, which is good. So so those are a couple. Those are a few of the ones that I've been reading recently, and also actually the first issue is Static, the reboot by Vita Ayala.
Keep going, because the third one came out today.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep pushing forward with that. But it's but those are like a few of the ones that have been kind of jumping out at me recently, in addition to all of the other nerdy pursuits that we partake in. So
I've read the first issue of Radiant Black. And yeah, that first panel, I was like, I was like, gosh, damn, I felt so much for him. But I dropped off just because I was like, it didn't hit me as much. But I've heard so many great things about it once the trade, because the trade is out now. Thing came out a couple weeks ago that I've heard so many things. I'm like, okay, so I have to go back into it. I have to. The returning milestone stuff has been great.
Okay.
I finished Icon and Rocket, aptly named, issue 2 yesterday, and I was like, yeah, damn, bring it. And like I said, Static issue 3 came out today. I have to read that along with Robin. Robin's is just a fun series. It's just a fun series about a tournament being held by like the League of Lazarus, I think it's called.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's, you know how like you have like tournament movies and anime, you have tournament. This is basically all of the young heroes that are kind of like maybe kind of thought of as sidekicks in essence. They're all coming, and it's all like them, like assassins, what have you, all going there for this tournament.
Wow.
Now the tournament has rules. You're able to die 3 times because they can bring you back.
Yeah.
But the tournament doesn't begin until everyone dies at least once. So if you're training and you fall off a cliff, they bring you back. If you are fighting with someone, you die, they bring you back. What have you? So the tournament has finally started now. But there's a great moment where I won't actually. But there's a great moment for Robin. This is going to be Damien, where he's surrounded by quote unquote family, and he can be such a little prick. But he might be my favorite Robin. But you see these endearing moments, these little pinholes of endearing moments in his arrogance and prick aura, which would have it endeared me even more to him. And there's an appearance of Connor Hawke. Connor Hawke is in this comic.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I mean, like, he's like, the darker shaded Connor Hawke. I saw him and I was like, okay, you guys got me. Is this gonna have a backdoor pilot by chance for something for him? Please do. So yeah, I totally agree with the milestone stuff is really, it was long overdue.
Yeah.
But I wasn't hitching my wagon to it because since they've been here, been gone, there have been so many other creatives, present company accepted, who have taken the reins and who have taken it even further. So just having them added to that is great, beautiful. So the last question I'm going to ask you before I get to the bleak perspective part is, this is one of the most important questions I can ever ask someone. This is something that is so divisive in our country, in our community, in our world, let's say. But I'm going to ask it because I'm brave. And I'm here for these hard-hitting questions. What are you having for dinner? Dedren, hit me. What are you having for dinner tonight?
Cookies. I eat a lot of junk food. So cookies, and probably as a pizza place up the street from my office called Slim and Huskies. And
I love that name already.
Yeah. It's they're out of Tennessee. It's a black-owned pizza space. We got like a few spots coming around, but yeah, and all of their pizzas are named after like hip hop like references.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the one I normally get is like I got 5 on it, and then it's got like 5.
Damn! Oh my god! Are you serious?
Yeah, they're they got it's called Slim and Huskies. So yeah, it's like a black-owned hip hop pizza spot. It's a lot of good references like that. Like I think like their vegetable one is called like it's not like CeeLo green or something like that. It's a lot of like good old hip hop references and stuff like that. But yeah, meat pizza and cookies is as I sit here in my office and work a few more hours.
How do we take something like pizza and make it even doper? How do we do this? How are we not considered magical beings? How?
Yeah.
My God, I got 5 on it. I'm mad at that. I'm mad as hell at that, but I'll eat it. I probably will eat it. I'm gonna be honest with you. All right, cool. I do have a follow-up question. What kind of cookies?
These are ginger. Like ginger snap cookies with like little pieces of ginger in them. Yeah.
Okay.
So ginger. I think there's like ginger toffee cookies. Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I love that answer. Damn,
Mhm.
I got 5 on. It's gonna be all in my head now.
Yeah.
Mad at that. I'm mad at that, but I'm gonna look it up online.
Oh yeah.
Robert, what do you have for dinner tonight?
So when I came into this discussion, it was going to be like burritos,
Oh,
but I got a taste for some American deli wings tonight. Yeah, it's going to be a choice between either one of those. So I'll talk to the wife and see where she's going to lean. But yeah, that's the very divisive question. My heart is beating so strongly because I was worried about it, Antonio. So thank you for that hard hitting. I don't know. Can I, before I forget, can I give Dedren a chance just to show off the book right quick? Just put it in front of the camera right quick.
Oh
my God, yes.
True now to say that
I use my food question for that.
there's a handful of people who hopefully should have this in hand. So just kind of show again the proof of life that we finished our graphic novel, and so though it's been a long time to get this thing out of China, it is here, and it's out and about. And this Dragon Con will be the first time we'll make it publicly available now that we've gotten with our publisher Outland Entertainments that's been helping us not only with the fulfillment of that, but also some of the next steps of Sorghum that will also give us a chance to start announcing here. Starting this weekend.
Awesome. Now, is it available on the website yet?
Not yet. So we'll make it available on the website on this upcoming Friday. So sorghumandspirit.com will take the first orders there. But definitely wanted to make sure that we had a robust amount already out and in the hands of our backers, and appreciate their love and support for that. But
outstanding.
This Friday we'll make it available.
Outstanding, because I will be putting links in the description of this episode, so they will be able to click on your work, Subsume, and Robert, your work as well, because I want people to be able to just go, oh, really dug what they were saying. I wonder where I can get their art, their projects. Boom, the links will be right in the description for the episode, folks. That's what I'm going to do, because I want you to be able to click right after you're done watching. Go PayPal, whatever you choose. Don't send money orders. I don't know if people even take those anymore. Don't send checks. Don't send carrier pigeon, whatever the hell you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, gentlemen, I just have one thing. It's almost my homage to Jerry Springer. No, I'm not going to tell you that you have a child with a dragon and they're coming on stage now. No, this is something I like to call the Bleak perspective. This is just a quick thought that I have during the course of the show or the week or what have you. And it has to do with something that I've spoken about, that I feel very strongly about, and that's supporting people that we have while they're here. Unfortunately, excuse me, we lost Chadwick a year ago this past weekend. Obviously, you can tell I bought the shirt after he passed, Black Panther, and I always have this bracelet on, which is a Black Panther emblem. I got it from Amalgam Comics. I'll actually have the link for that as well. Unfortunately, we lost him. He was one of the lights, incredible artist in his own right as far as acting and such like that. Beautiful, just human being and soul. And we loved him. We cherished him. He got us into theaters. I mean, the whole cast got us into theaters for Black Panther, but that man brought us into theaters multiple times. Some of us was wearing dashikis that we had never worn before. We got it on Amazon or somebody in the neighborhood. We got it. So too often when, especially our creators are gone, we go, oh, I loved him. No. That, I mean, obviously you want to do that when someone passes, unless they're a total, piece of shit, obviously. Then, but it was someone that you love that's there. Show them now. Show them while they're here. Show them while they can hear it. Show them while they can feel it. Show them while they can read it on a page in a comment, even if it's a like, even if it's a share, if it's something as quick as that, or a comment, or hey, I like this video of whatever, yada yada yada, and you share it on your social media. But let that person know in so much of a form. Now they may have 1,000 mentions or 1,000 notifications, but they're going to have to go through those 1,000 notifications, and they'll see yours there. And it matters. It makes a lot, because creatives feel like, oh, this is, if you say, oh, that's perfect, they go, yeah, I don't know. I think I missed a comma in there somewhere. I think I'm most like the most self-deprecating people possible. None of their work will ever be perfect, even though you think it's amazing. So yeah, they're going to say, oh, I don't really like it, what have you. That's what they're going to say, because that's what they're going to say. But let me tell you something. There are going to be those dark times when they're in that corner, like, I don't even think I should keep doing this. I don't know what happened. That comment that you just put up might hit them in that way, where they go, you know what? Let me do one more page. Let me do one more image. Let me do one more paragraph. Let me finish the script up. Let me edit this some more, or what have you. And it can mean the absolute world to them. So show the appreciation while people are still here. Please let them know. No matter what it is, like I said, a like, a subscribe, a share, whatever. It means the world. They do truly appreciate it, even if their self-deprecating humor is usually like, no, it's not, what have you. And they don't think they're all that, but they're all that, and at least 2 bags of chips. And I'm not talking halfway full bags where there's half air, half chip. I mean, like back in the day when it was all chip. But what do I know? That's just my bleak perspective. But let me ask you, as always, are you with me? I think you are. And that's the show. Folks, I want to say thank you so very much to these 2 incredible gentlemen for being on. We have Dedren Snead of Subsume, Robert Jeffrey of the Universe, Delta Quadrant, South Side. You heard. Thank you for being here and just spending this time with me and enjoying it. Like I said, I will have the links to the works in the description of this episode. So, folks, do the best you can with what you got, because it's all that you get. All right, gentlemen, wave goodbye to everyone. Wave, salute, wave. He tipped his hat. Damn it, the man tipped his hat. That's why you wear a hat. That's why you wear a hat. He's in the throne. He's got. I can't. This cat's too cool, man. This cat's too cool. Everyone, thank you very much. Have a good day. Enjoy the rest of it. Eat something tasty and enjoy it. All right. Peace.
Yes.